No advice on your specific situation because I don't speak on things that I have personally gone through. However, I have been disappointed plenty of times in my life, and what I would offer for consideration is to draw focus away from the thing and or person or people that has brought on the disappointment. In other words, instead of focusing on what isn't, draw your attention to what could be to allow space for it to come to you and for you to be able to see when it comes. Life is funny sometimes. No today does not mean no forever. Cry, yes, and be sad for a little bit. But when you're done, stand up and straighten that crown and walk on into your greatness. Stay encouraged, my friends. Hello, beautiful, and welcome back to another episode of Beautiful, I Am Colored. My name is Evelyn, and this is the place where folks come to get inspired, motivated, to find hope and overall healing. I, at the beginning of today's topic, shared quite literally a message that I text a colleague and a friend this week who just needed a little bit of pick-me-up. And it seems this past week, has been filled with people who are close to me walking through seasons that are incredibly difficult and sometimes seem as if one cannot overcome them. And so today's topic is one that's near and dear to my heart and all of us, and that is talking through and about disappointing times in life. And how do we even begin to get over it when we've gone through something or are going through something that has devastating effect and impact? Fair warning that today's message will be a little bit of a prick, honestly, because the truth sometimes stings. But as always, I try to come to you each week from a place of full truth and transparency, but framing it in such a way that hopefully you'll be able to hear the words I'm saying so that they don't negatively impact you, but allow you to find the hope in yourself and healing within yourself so that you can get to the other side of the you who is to be and who you've been purposed to be from the beginning. Okay, a little bit of a quick break, and I'll be right back with today's quick segment about overcoming disappointment. Actually, I think this is a topic that I covered several months ago, but today I feel the need to revise it, if you will, and talk more about it. I'll be right back. Before I cascade into today's topic about disappointment, we start each and every week off with a segment I call Shout Out and Thank Yous. And that's just a moment where I share a person, place, thing, or idea that I'm grateful for each week. I believe very deeply that it is important for you to center and ground yourself in being thankful each and every day for no matter how small that thing, person, place, or idea is. And so this week's shout out and thank you, I have a couple of them. I always shout out my trainer every week because, as I've told you before, I am in the confines of my vehicle when I get back from the gym on Sundays or Saturdays, depending on when I meet up with Claudia. And listen, Claudia be trying to come with that heat in the gym. You know what I'm saying? And I'm getting stronger, and my little arms and stuff getting stronger. Like you can kind of see what's coming up, in terms of muscle up under my shirt and stuff. And so anyhow, she came with the heat a little bit today, and I'm a lot stronger than even what probably I know. And so she kept adding on the weight and stuff like that. But needless to say, your girl was a beast again in the gym. And so while I may not be the smallest that I am going to be, I am very grateful for my trainer. I'm very grateful for having a full body, able body to run, jump, leap, and get through those workouts that she hits me with every week. So shout out to Claudia. The next shout out and thank you goes to my job. Now, y'all, if y'all been listening to me a while now, you know that when I got this job back in November, I told y'all I probably would never tell y'all what I do. And that still remains to be the truth, because you say what you do and then people start Googling you, or, girl, she said she worked at blah, 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 and be trying to figure you all the way out. I am probably never going to be that person where you're going to be able to figure all the way out. So there will be limited details that I provide always. Anyhow, I just wanted to shout out my job today. No, I'm not going to say what I do, but I will say that for the past almost 6 months, a little over 6 months now that I've been in this position, it's been challenging from the standpoint of getting back under hierarchical structure when you have been used to having almost 100% full autonomy in what you do, like the when, the how, the where. And so it's taken me a little bit of an adjustment to be back in it. And if I'm really honest with you, I was moderately to heavily carrying resentment because I've had to fall back under this hierarchical structure. And I will say this week I made a decision to release that because it really was truly holding me back from my full potential. And this actually cascades into today's topic too, which I'll get to in the next segment. But I just wanted to say shout out to my job. I work with some amazing people who work hard in their service. And if any of them are sneak peek listening to my podcast, and you know who you are, I just wanted to say thank you so much for all that you do in service, and that I am honored to be a part of such an amazing and dynamic team, and just look forward to the evolution of what takes place, and being more thankful than ever for my job. So that's all I'll say now. Now, maybe in the future I'll talk a little bit more about it, but right now, I told y'all my job got a lot of restrictions and stuff, and I'm not trying to have any kind of problems. So I'm not gonna, the end. The end. All right. One more moment, and then we're going to get right into today's topic, which I hope will be a blessing to you. Be right back. So this life is absolutely not easy. And we go through things that test us, and sometimes the things that we go through, they will test us to the breaking point. So I don't want to make light of that at all, because it is very true. What is also true is that you have to get to the point where you understand that the only thing that you have control of is you. You can't control extenuating circumstances. You can't control other people. I've said this multiple times before. Even the children you have potentially birthed, and I say potentially because there might be men listening, even the children that you've potentially birthed into this world will get to a point where you cannot control them any longer, because they're their own being, right? They have their own mind to make up. You cannot control a lot of what people think about you, what people say about you, what people put out on social media about you. You get the point. The only person that you can control is you. And sometimes when we get into situations where we have heavy disappointments, by heavy disappointments, maybe, you've had a diagnosis, maybe you've gone through a bad breakup after being years long in a relationship. Maybe you're navigating new waters and you're in your mid-30s, mid-40s, mid-50s and trying to figure out what the heck you're going to do with the next season of life, and feeling like you haven't accomplished all the things that you thought you were going to do when you were 12, 13, 15, 18, 21. Here's the thing. Take a deep breath in and out. Take another deep breath in and out. I controlled that breath. Sure, there's a lot of autonomous activity that your body does, but in that moment, I controlled my breath. I have the power to slow down, to reframe, to rethink any scenario, anything that I find myself in. I shared with you a couple weeks ago that I had been rereading the book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And also, I've shared several times on this podcast of one of my favorite books of all time, The Science of Getting Rich and the Science of Being Great, are some of my go-to books that I revisit on a regular basis. And the reason for that is because I'm constantly training my mind and my body to fall in line with what I have control over. It is so incredibly easy to project onto others. I'm not saying that some people aren't nasty and don't need to be slapped in the mouth sometimes. That's not what I'm saying, okay? So hear me in balance. And yes, I did say slapped in the mouth. Y'all know it's still a part of me that's Memphis. So, God had to deliver me from that. But that's just how I feel right now, okay? But getting back on point. It's taking me, and I say taking because I'm still in this learning phase of pulling myself back into myself and reframing things according to what is in my power to control. And then the other pieces you have to release and let go. I recall your attention to the opening remarks of this podcast this week where I shared a message that I sent a friend of mine. And I really do believe what I shared with that person. And that is, if you're constantly focused, you're dialed all the way in on everything that is a disappointment, or it could be one thing that's a disappointment. Think about how much energy it's taken for your whole body, everything to be focused on that. And I'm not saying that there isn't a time and place for everything. As I shared in my remarks to my friend, is that there is a time to be sad. Absolutely. And you need to allow yourself that emotion because that is how I believe God has created us. But to stay in that place of perpetual state of sadness, I think might counter the overall objective, which is to get you to where you want to be. And so in saying that, I recall growing up hearing several times, and frankly, I really didn't understand what they were saying. And I kind of brushed it off. But, when you get older, and those of you who know I don't shy away from what age I am, and I'm in my mid-40s now, 45 to be exact. And, they used to say, just keep on living, just keep on living. Because you think you've hit something at 18 and you think it's going to be the end of the world, and then 25 come. And you think you've hit something that's the hardest thing in your life that takes your breath fully away and is like a gut punch. And then you hit 35. And then you hit another thing. And so my point in sharing this with you is that for all of us, please do not feel like you're by yourself and isolated. For all of us, that life has its ups and its downs, excuse me. And I would just challenge all of us, and I'm including myself in this, is to, when you hit those moments, allow yourself to grieve, allow yourself to do those very human emotions that we possess. Allow yourself to go through that. But when you're done and getting that out of your system, then also pull yourself back. And you should know that you have the power to take control, and you have the power to reframe and refocus, whatever that looks like for you. Now, for some of us, and I like to talk about myself, that's me pulling completely away. So I might not answer text messages frequently. I might not talk to you on the phone. I might not be watching TV, or I may just go silent in the house, which is what I've been doing the past couple of days. Not because anybody did anything to me, but truly because sometimes I don't have a positive thing to say. So the best thing to do in those moments is just to be quiet. And I've shared that before with you as well. If you cannot put your words together to say 1-2 sentences that are positive about a situation, sometimes truly the best thing is just to be quiet in that moment. Does that mean that sometimes you don't need to operate your voice? No, you need to operate your voice, but you need to be able to discern when you use your voice versus the times when you are quiet. Again, just sharing some tips that I use. May not work for you, and that's okay. Everybody is different. But I guess in my example, I'm sharing with you things you need to be in tap with yourself that help you to get over and overcome disappointment in, how can I say this? In a way to where you can move on and be open to what is available for you. So getting back to my first point about being laser focused on the disappointment. If all of your energy, just to hone this in, if all of your energy is focused on what you don't have, who you can't have, who you ain't with no more, the thing that you didn't get. And trust you me, I have had this month, it's been happening to me. There's been some things, there's been some people. And the whole thing is you have to make a conscious decision until you have it fully dialed in at the subconscious level. You have to make a conscious decision to let go of what you cannot control and then focus your efforts on what you can control. So, for example, you can control when and how you engage with people. You could control that if you so choose to. Of course, you could kind of talk yourself into anything, but you can control that. That's within your power. You can control and identify the things that work best for you. Okay, I'll give you another example. For me, another example is like my music. That is my channel. That is my place to where I get opened up so that I can hear things that otherwise I couldn't hear in terms of me being able to give out to others that I could not be able to do if I don't tap in that way. Now, some of you are not musical, and there is nothing wrong with that. That is okay. But you do what works for you. For some of you, that might be yoga. For some of you, that might be a walk in the park or a sit down in the park. For some of you, that might be in the mountains, skiing or snowboarding or riding your bike. For some of you, it's just being still. All of these things are okay and are healthy ways for us to process through disappointment. But again, to not live and dwell in the place of disappointment. I guess in closing, what I'm trying to say is you have to find those things that keep you going. And if you haven't allowed yourself time to find out those things, that's okay too. That is okay too. You can get to a place right today where you make a decision to where, you know what, I actually don't know what those things are for me. So I'm going to start doing some assessments. Evelyn, what did you mean by assessments? What do you mean by assessments? Well, here's what I mean. You're going to take an account of yourself, kind of similar to how you would keep like a food journal, like when you're trying to lose weight, and sometimes trainers are like, write down every single thing that you eat, right? Because when you look back over it over a period of time or a span of time, you can identify the holes in your diet or where you need to fill in. So similarly, these activities or whatever it is for you to do, you're going to make a note somewhere, whether it's your digital phone, whether it's your journal or whatever. You're going to make a note, and some of you have magical brains, so maybe you can just remember it. But I do know that there is power in writing things down, so I tend to encourage people to write. And that probably is no surprise to you since my book also doubles as a journal. But that's neither here nor there. My point is this, is that, if you go, let's say you try something new. Let's just say roller skating. Okay, let's say you haven't been on skates in years, but you just make up your mind. Somebody invited you, you're going to try it. And let's just say that you end up loving it. Make a note of that. Something that brings you joy. So not just a moment of happiness, but when you get in this particular thing that you do, time stops. There is no time. This is how you know you're hitting a certain lane within yourself. Time just doesn't exist. For me, if I have a whole live music concert where people singing and, they need to be able to sing and they need to be able to play the instrument. But you get what I'm saying. You could get all the way dialed in and time is just gone, child. It's just gone. That is a clue that this is one of the things that fills you up. And so you'll just take an assessment or an account of that over a series of days, weeks, months, however long it takes for you. And then start to incorporate those things in seasons where you have disappointment, especially major disappointment. And those will allow you to be filled up or fueled up. For some of us, it's listening to positive speakers or motivational speakers. I am one of those people. I turn to several key people who I listen to on a regular routine basis to just remind me. And it's repeat messages, to be honest with you. But sometimes until you have them programmed at the subconscious level, it's quite easy to forget, and they're not in the forefront of your mind, so that you don't have the right tools to battle when disappointments arise. And so I feel like I'm going on and on. And as you know, I said I'm not going to be editing these things because, my time right now, child. Anyhow, so I hope that you're hearing what I'm saying as I get ready to transition to closing. But I just wanted to say, especially to all my friends and family, man, life hits us all. Life hits us all. And sometimes we feel like we can't get to a place of recovery. I would just want to encourage each and every one of you that it's not the end, even though it feels like the end. I know it feels like the end. It is not the end if you just turn your beautiful little head, keeping your crown on now, turn your beautiful little head to the left or the right to see all of the other opportunities that could present themselves in times of disappointment. And then if you can't see that, that's okay. Then it might just be time to just be still for a moment. And that's okay too. All right, that is all that I have within me this week, which I think is actually more than the other week. So I can tell that I'm picking up momentum here and that things are shifting. But I just want to say, as always, I'm so grateful to you that you spend time listening to me. Even if you fast forwarded to certain segments, I'm okay with that. Because as you recall, my original goal was if I just touch one person, then I'm good. And I know for a fact that there have been more than that who I've touched as the Spirit works through me each and every week. So, as always, I hope that you have found a sense of hope and healing in me sharing with you. I hope that everyone has a great week. And remember, the future you is waiting on you. You do have the power. Yes, you do. I believe in you. I believe in me. All right. Have a great week, everyone.